In just one night, America's prestige fell. American destroyers are stuck among the rocks, and Trump describes the bombing as calm. Has the era of the new reality that Iran is imposing by force begun today? Iran threatens that countries will disappear from the map and warns that the palaces in the region will become direct targets for Iran. What is happening in Dubai today? And why did Iran seize a Chinese oil tanker, especially in the midst of this confrontation with America? Did Trump fall into Epstein's trap, or are we on the verge of a third world war starting from the Strait of Hormuz? We have very important developments today, but after this break, stay with us. Dear viewers, peace be upon you and God's mercy and blessings, and welcome to today's edition, God willing. As part of the opinion series, which we always dedicate to keeping up with the latest developments and updates of this war that the Middle East is witnessing between Iran and the Epstein alliance. Last night, dear viewers, was by no means an ordinary night. Why? Because it witnessed developments that truly embody this new reality that Iran is imposing by force and reflect Iran's heroism in this war. Last night, Iran fought one of the most heroic battles ever, after American forces attacked an Iranian oil tanker as part of the naval blockade that America wants to impose on Iran. The Iranian response came quickly, and it was harsh and unexpected. America was not expecting it at all. At that time, Iran attacked 3 or 4 American destroyers with missiles and drones. As a result of this Iranian response, these destroyers suffered severe damage, according to what the Revolutionary Guard confirmed, including among these destroyers. One of them got stuck between the rocks in the Strait of Hormuz, according to several newspapers. Among these ships, some became badly disoriented. That confusion caused them to get stuck between the rocks, to the extent that this could have led to a major disaster for Trump, namely the sinking of one of these ships. Fortunately for Trump, the situation was quickly contained. These destroyers withdrew rapidly and turned back again last night. When we look at the American response, which came in the form of this bombing, or from attempts to bomb Iran's Qeshm Island and a number of other areas in Iran, including the capital, Tehran, we know exactly that the Iranian response was extremely harsh, to the point that America was not satisfied with what happened, was not satisfied with this strong slap it received from Iran, so it responded with this bombing of Iran. Even though America or Trump is avoiding returning to war as much as possible, the worst case scenario has become possible for Trump and for the American army is a return to war. We have explained this in many previous episodes. That's why he was not satisfied with this harsh Iranian response, but at the same time, he does not want to return to war again. So he carried out this swift strike that ended quickly and without any casualties among the Iranians. Soon after, Trump came out with a statement to calm things down, confirming that the truce is still ongoing and that the strike was friendly, and that Iran still has time to choose, either sign the agreement or return to war, as if he really has the option to go back to war. But, as I explained to you in previous episodes, if the war returns again, there are countries that will disappear from the map. Today, as everyone can see, we are living a new reality imposed by Iran in the Strait of Hormuz because of this war. But if this war returns again, it will impose a new reality even bigger than the one we are living today. There are countries that will disappear from the map. The Iranian Tasnim news agency presented evidence confirming the UAE's involvement in hostile acts against Iran, for example, the participation of Emirati fighter jets in the attack on Iran last night, and so on. The agency said that the UAE has become just an agent for the regime. It said that the UAE has become a tool in the hands of Netanyahu and in the hands of Israel, meaning they do with it whatever they want. So, in your opinion, do you think Iran will forget this? In your opinion, do you think Iran will overlook this? Iran, just today, it attacked Dubai airport with missiles and drones, and every time it attacks the UAE reserves the right to respond, meaning the UAE can't even respond openly. Why? Because it knows very well that any escalation by the UAE against Iran will lead to the complete disappearance of this country. It will vanish from the map. Yesterday, there was a statement from one of the Iranian officials who said that if the war resumes, the leaders and palaces of these countries will be targeted. That's why this matter is very dangerous for the UAE. Iran's foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, said that after the escalation we had yesterday, he posted on Twitter saying that every time a diplomatic solution is proposed, America chooses a reckless military adventure. So he raised the question, is this an American tactic to pressure Iran, or is it the result of a conspiracy they're trying to carry out? Did the Epstein alliance drag America into this new quagmire of war again? Because today, just so everyone knows, it's clear that there are incorrect intelligence reports being presented to Trump in order to push him again toward war there. For example, the reports by Leichert of American intelligence, which were published by some American newspapers. It says that Iran is capable of withstanding this American naval blockade for many long months. And it says that Iran now only has 70% of its missile arsenal left compared to before the war. So pay close attention. This is a report trying to show Trump that this naval blockade option he's imposing is ineffective. Iran is capable of holding out for months, while the military option might be effective, because Iran has lost 30% of its missile capabilities. Within 40 days, it could mean a return to war again, maybe for another 40 days, when Iran's missile capabilities will decrease significantly, and as a result, it will surrender and yield to the demands of the Epstein coalition, and it will bow to America. That's how it's being portrayed. That's how there are those trying to trap Trump and trap America in a situation exactly like the one at the beginning of this war. Back then, there were similar reports saying that the Iranian regime would collapse within just 4 days after the assassination of Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. But in the end, more than 2 months have passed today, and the Iranian regime hasn't fallen. Iran hasn't been stripped of its ballistic missiles, its military capabilities haven't been weakened, and nothing else has happened. That's why Araghchi posted a tweet saying that Iran's missile arsenal is now 120% ready, not 70%, as reported by the American intelligence agency. So, dear viewers, it's also noticeable that with these moves, the US might just be testing Iran's response capabilities and its detection abilities as well. The US is trying to find a safe route. Sometimes they send an oil tanker, sometimes they send destroyers, but this happens after disabling the naval radars on these ships so they can't be tracked. But every time, they find the Iranian response ready, and what's new this time is that the Iranian response was very harsh. It caused damage to these destroyers, which made the US respond with the airstrikes that took place last night, because they were not satisfied with this new development this time either. The Iranian response didn't stop there, but continued afterwards. When the Iranian Navy seized a Chinese oil tanker that was transporting Iranian oil to China and was in the Gulf of Oman, meaning after it passed through the Strait of Hormuz, everyone might wonder how the tanker is Chinese, transporting Iranian oil, and yet Iran seizes it. Why would Iran seize it? Iran says that the tanker was taking advantage of the situation in the region to harm Iranian oil exports and the interests of the Iranian people. So Iran did not clarify exactly why it seized the ship. This statement today surprised everyone. It was a very big surprise. A ship carrying Iranian oil and heading to its most important partner, China. Why? But what's clear, so that everyone knows, is that this ship or this company, even though it's carrying Iranian oil, did not respect the navigation rules in the Iranian waters, and it started to perhaps follow the American conditions instead of the Iranian ones in order to pass safely. That's why Iran seized it, to send a message even to China that the only rules to be respected in its waters are the Iranian rules. Even if this cargo is Iranian, even if this oil is Iranian, no oil will reach China. By following the American conditions, payment to Iran alone must be according to the terms and rules announced only by Iran. Every time Iran firmly shows that it is capable of responding strongly and quickly, that it holds the reins in the region, and that it is fighting battles on all levels with all bravery and ferocity. The truth that Trump is hiding today is that he was trying to find a safe maritime passage for the oil tanker to pass through. So he would announce the opening of the Strait of Hormuz through this maritime route. But he found that Iran, with its naval power and revolutionary vigilance, was ready and waiting. Trump intended that when he succeeded in breaching the Strait of Hormuz, he would immediately announce the return of what he calls Operation Freedom, and then right after that, he would declare the successful passage of the ships. But it turned out that even the American destroyers couldn't even protect themselves. So how could they protect the tankers and help them pass through the Strait of Hormuz safely? So there were very serious miscalculations on Trump's part. And here everyone should pay attention to a very important point. Iran is using new, very successful and very smart military tactics. Iran has a strategy for every place, for every region of Iran. And for each specific party, there is a different weapon. For example, the weapons that Iran uses to close the Strait of Hormuz are different weapons from those we have known throughout this war. Everyone knows about Iran's ballistic missiles like Sejil, Qadr and Khaybar Shekan and so on. Everyone knows about the suicide drones, Shahed. Iran uses these weapons to strike distant targets, like in Israel and other countries in the region. But when we talk about the waters of the Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz, we find a whole different set of weapons, completely different names being used today. There are ballistic missiles like Khalij Fars, Hormuz 1, Hormuz 2, which are specialized naval ballistic missiles for striking ships. There are also naval cruise missiles like Nasir, Qadir, Nur Abu Mahdi. Then there are also the suicide drones that Iran used yesterday. Hadid 110 is a very fast drone. It flies at speeds over 500 kilometers per hour and its range exceeds 300 kilometers. This means it can be launched from secret locations deep within the Iranian mountains to strike and surprise a ship passing through the Strait of Hormuz. So, there are completely different weapons being used in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran is a very vast country. And the weapons you'll find at the Strait of Hormuz are not the same as those you'll find on the Persian Gulf. And they're not the same as those you'll find on the land borders with different countries. Pakistan, Turkmenistan and others, and they're not the ones designated for striking Israel. That means each side has specific weapons. Weapons, which means Iran's stockpile of ammunition is very large, maybe even endless, and it's distributed all over Iranian territory. Iran prepared well for this battle. It knew this battle was coming, and Iran wanted this battle to happen maybe a few months from now. Not today, but it was destined to be now. So today, it's facing the world's #1 superpower. With what? With the strength it has prepared, with whatever strength it could, and that's all that's required because God Almighty says in His holy book, "And prepare against them whatever force you can." So Iran prepared whatever strength it could, and victory comes only from God. That's why Iran is truly moving today toward achieving a great victory. Iran has changed the equation in the region. We lived for many long decades believing that it was impossible to confront America, the world's superpower. It was the one in control, the one dominating the world, and it was impossible to confront it at all. Everyone had to bow down and meet its demands. But Iran proved the opposite in this confrontation, and prepared for this confrontation as it should. So there has been a major global shift that we are experiencing now. The world is changing rapidly, and now there is no longer a single dominant power. So the countries that rely on American protection will now be required to diversify their allies and open security cooperation relations with other powers. Otherwise they will face setbacks, defeats, and so on. Now we will see how things develop in the next few hours. Will there really be an agreement, or will the region return to war again? We will be back, God willing. Press the like button. Peace be upon you and God's mercy and blessings. See you next time.